Okay, so now we're going to move on to groups of sixes. Now, this is one of my favourite groupings also because it's something that you hear people like Zakk Wylde do a lot, and it's really cool. I really love the sound of it. Now, it's important to remember that when playing through this example, you also want a triplet kind of feel. Now, another thing that I love to do with this grouping of six is start every grouping with a pull-off and then alternate pick the rest. So simply it just sounds like this. Now that particularly sounds cool up the octave. Okay, so now what we're going to work on is actually combining some of these examples together to create licks and runs for soloing. Now it's important to remember that everything that I show you, you can apply to soloing. It's not just an exercise or a pattern. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to work on the groupings of 3 and 6. Okay, so now we're going to take that up to speed. Now I particularly love this style is that it has a very smooth sound, and with the hammers and pulls it's a really cool lick to use in soloing. So at speed it would sound something like this. Now you can also take that up the octave, and when you do take it up the octave you'll start to hear immediately, how some people get some really cool licks in their solo. It just makes me think of Zakk Wylde, and I love that, man. It's great. Okay, now this is also good for working with your pinky and your index finger. Okay, now a lot of guitarists, especially when they're using the pentatonic scale, tend to always favour their third and index finger. Now I do that too sometimes, and it does have a different sound. It's good for power, but when trilling things like this, it's very, very important to use your little finger. So. And even the same up high. Now you will notice that I use my third finger there to finish with the bend, but that's just purely because I have more control with my third finger when bending than my little finger. Here's another example of combining groupings. Now this one uses 4s and 5s. Now I particularly like this grouping for moving down the scale. Okay, so the thing to note here is that when I'm actually playing these examples and, building runs and licks, I'm not thinking so much from a mathematical point of view of, okay, this is a group of 4, this is a group of 5, this is a group of 6, 4, whatever. It's more a feel thing, and, but basically what got me to that level was focusing on them in their mathematical form, while I was practicing. But once I start to create runs and build runs, I'm more concerned with what falls under and flows, under my fingers the best, And it's a sound thing too, Okay, now in this example here, I'm going to be, using groups of 4s, 5s and 6s. But it's like the point I made before. Now, when creating this lick, I'm not concerned from a mathematical point of view. I'm just concerned with, how the lick actually flows. And also with this example, I'm combining boxes of the pentatonic scale to move down the neck. Okay, so now with this example, you'll notice that when I finish every grouping and I start a new grouping, that I'm starting with the rest stroke. So, for example, with the first grouping of 4, it's alternate picking. And then when I move to the next group, which is a group of 6, I start with the upstroke. And then same again, I'm finishing with an up, and then same again with the next grouping, which is a group of 5, we start with an up. And that gets back to the point before when I was saying that when I combine these groupings into musical, runs, that I'm not so concerned with the mathematics behind it, but more the flow. And a lot of the flow, it's not only the left hand, but it's also the right hand flow. And that's why I start that piece with a group of 4, because it sets up the picking. Because we've got down, up,